Ladies and gentlemen, we wish a wonderful day to all our active members, enthusiastic attendees, and excited learners. This activity brings us all together, despite our different time zones and nationalities. Welcome to the Institute of Global Professionals, a place where you can learn more, innovate, inspire others, and impact the world, a place where we can all grow and learn together. I'm Lercia El Pelaez of New Era University, Quezon City, Philippines, an early adopter of coping strategies for the new normal. We believe that sharing information and overcoming educational obstacles helps people to grow. We hope that you will all join IGP on a worldwide platform. Please join us for the remaining webinars. Check in on the IGP page, make a recommendation, and help spread a word. At any time, you can also like and comment on our webinar. Remember to tag your photos and share them with your friends and community. Before we begin our program, let us first learn more about IGP. IGP is a global professional institution that serves as a resource for students and the community while also providing holistic social work and education in order to develop a skilled generation. Our mission is to empower people and improve the efficacy of training and consultation all over the world to provide you with the best learning platform possible. We organize our webinars, trainings, offline and online courses with the best and most experienced speakers and coaches. IGP is an ISO certified training and education institute as well as a social organization. It is internationally recognized, worldwide accreditation over 100 countries, 100 professions, and 3,000 organizations have been accredited. More than 700 speakers are expected. We have made a commitment to serve you. We hope that you will join us in this long journey and that all of the webinars will help you progress in your chosen profession. Please share, tag, and comment again because your encouragement motivates us to do better so we can provide a quality service to all of you. To collect the certificate, please go to www.eduigp.com, courses, Panicgogy, and strategic language learning. Then, from the drop down menu, choose Enroll Now. Certification can be obtained through the same website. However, only after the live broadcast because you'll need a code to claim your certificate, which will only give out during the live show. To drum up your interest, you can attend any of our free international webinars by visiting our official Facebook page, group, and YouTube channel. Every active participant will be given an ISO verified e certificate. We are delighted to welcome you all to this strategic language learning in 566 free international webinar. It is a great chance to welcome today's speaker. He is a teacher one at San Jose Panlumacan Integrated School, and he is also a member of Philippine Campus Journalist Guild. We are extremely grateful for your presence. Let us all welcome Sir Christian B. Yabut from the Philippines.
One second.
Hi, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me? All right. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. How about me, sir? Maybe I'm the one who. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the warm welcome and introduction. Should I start now?
Yes, sir, we are very excited for your presentation. Once again, Sir Christian Yabut.
Thank you very much, me too. And allow me first to greet you into a different language as a part of my topic for today. Buenos dias for Spanish, Subha Dina for Bangladesh, Bonjourne for French, Haka Dina Suba for Indian, Magandang gabi for Philippines, and good day, everyone. How is your day going? I hope that everything is doing great today. And of course, I am very excited and amazed for this session. Allow me first also to thank the opportunity given by IGP to share my knowledge and expertise as well. So let's start. Again, this is Mr. Christian Biabut, a teacher one from San Jose Panlumacan Integrated School. And yes, I'm also a member of Philippine Campus Journalist Guild. And aside from being a language teacher, I also teach a subject which is related to science. So that leads me to be a environmental activist. And aside from that, I am currently taking my master's in education for the local language in the Philippines, which is Filipino. And as an educator, I am someone who values small victories. I believe that small victories defines the bigger successes that we yet to accomplish in life because it gives you motivation to do more and to be more. And for today's session, again, you can use the comment section below. All right. We are getting to deepen our knowledge regarding strategic language, learning amidst the pandemic state and its future prospect. And okay, like I've mentioned earlier, okay, dream without a purpose or objective is nonsense. So at the end of the webinar, we are expected to have a firm understanding of our roles in strategic language learning. Second, be informed about the current situation and future prospect of language learning as a common responsibility. Reflection of the language issues posed by the pandemic and the solutions to be found through a comment. Again, do not forget to uh, share this webinar or session and comment down below. All right. One of the characteristic of a language is a means of communication, isn't it? Language is a type of communication that allows people to exchange information, ideas, and feelings with one another. Language is also a system of communication based on the use of words and the formation of sentences from those words. People can expand their knowledge and understanding of something by utilizing these words. You can react now if you agree with that as a characteristic of a language. Let's unlock some of the words that I can found on this webinar or session. When we say strategic, it will be pertaining to the determination of a long-term or overall goals and interests, as well as the methods for accomplishing them. It is will be the skillfully prepared or plan to achieve a certain goal or a benefit. And aside from the word strategic, when we say language or language learning, according to Chomsky of 1950, he claims that the children have an inbuilt aptitude to acquire language. Chomsky's models of language acquisition's key principle. He also mentioned that everyone is born with the ability to develop and acquire any language as a natural process. As you can see on the presentation, which is the input, the LAD, or the language acquisition development, into an output into a child's speech. Okay, so we already unlocked the language learning and also the strategic. Moving forward, it says here that language learning is a lifelong process that begins at birth and continues throughout one's life. Students learn language through using it to express their thoughts, feelings, and experience, to form a relationships with the family and friends, and to try to make a sense of their surroundings. With that said, higher education institutions are faced with the new realities in today's interconnected world. How to effectively support students in increasingly their professional growth, gaining skills for successful 21st century interaction, and starting new careers. As you can see as well, that some have suggested that language proficiency and oral communication have been prioritized in foreign language, or the acronym FL education, whereas the integration of higher order and critical thinking abilities with language learning has been marginalized, particularly in lower level language courses by Korea of 2011, Yamada of 2010, and Garrett Rax of 2013. Meaning, in a world where students must navigate complex realities and constantly changing situations, a lack of meaningful activities that engage pupils beyond, when we say beyond vocabulary and grammatical structure, has become an issue. So the followings are the 21st century skills that are required to prosper in today's quickly changing global economy. First, we have the problem solving. Second, the critical thinking. Third, the digital literacy. Those are the knowledge and skills required to enter and be mindful, okay, to succeed in today's workforce are defined as 21st century skills. Okay, the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language, or the ACTFL 2011, which created a 21st century skills map to assist educators, administrators, and policymakers with concrete examples of how to integrate such abilities in language courses, has emphasized in the 21st century skills. So, after we are getting in touch to know the 21st century skills, let's now find out first the language learning as shared responsibility. So, how does it affect us, especially for the educators? Every student has the potential to be a lifelong learner. Students, parents, teachers, and the community all take accountability for language development. Student must be given opportunity to leverage or uplift language in all of its forms on a regular basis. Meaning, language learning opportunities begin at home and expand as children go into the greater community. Schools provide environment in which children can continue to develop language skills, methods, and information in order to attain personal, social, and professional goals. Aside from this, as a shared responsibility, all teachers, all right, do not forget, okay, all teachers are responsible for language development for subject area. Teachers, for example, instruct on specialist language. Each subject various forms. Teachers of language arts, on the other hand, have a unique set of skills. All right. Moving right along, like I've mentioned a while ago, because of their concentration of language, its forms, and history, they play a unique function. They assist students in developing and implementing plans for understanding, writing, responding in a variety of circumstances. Let's now proceed to the language as a tool for thinking and learning. Language, learning, and thinking are all intertwined. Throughout kindergarten to grade 4, students utilize language to make sense of their surroundings and make their world more orderly. They actually use words to investigate new ideas, experiences, and knowledge in connection to their prior knowledge, experiences, and convictions. With that said, they make connections and anticipate situation, consider options, consider ideas, then decide on a plan of action. The development of students' linguistic skills is critical to their academic performance every part of the school. And as a tool or for thinking and learning, language also allows pupils to participate actively in a variety of activities. What do we mean by that? Within and outside of the classroom, there are communities of learners. As a student, not only to speak, to write, and to represent themselves, but they also listen to read and to watch. Glance at the other people's view and experiences, both critical and inventive. All right, moving right along. When pupils think and learn through language, they're all linguists. They call themselves a linguist and consider, ponder, create, analyze, and synthesize. Language also allows pupils to develop the what you call metacognition, isn't it? When we say metacognition, that it is to allow to them to think about and to govern their own lives. Processes of thought and learning language aids the development of students an understanding of the ability and technique they'll need to success. So how that's how important language is as a tool for learning. And moving right along, as you can see also, we are defining language and identity in the new world order. We are now part of globalization, right? Globalization has been a continuous endeavor for decades as both a compression of the world and a greater knowledge of the world, supported by a transitional flow of capital goods, people, and ideas by Apodorei of 1991. Globalization is actually a huge word. It also covers modernization as well. But how does globalization affect us in the new world order? The paradox of globalization is that while we are progressively, okay, take note, progressively developing a sense of interconnection of the world has become increasingly fragmented as a result of the immediacy and simultaneity of news and social media. The reality in post industrial civilizations, metropolitan centers differ dramatically from those in desolate communities and developing countries, just like the Philippines, not just in the horizontal spaces of neighborhoods, regions, and countries, but also in the vertical spaces of class, gender, ethnicity. There are social, cultural, and political disparities. That's how globalization affects the language as a whole. In the 21st century, it is the junction of this axis that creates identities and language in the new and significant ways. It's actually from a Darwin and Norton of 2014. Mobility has become the philosophy and utopia of the 21st century in a rapidly globalizing society by Eliot and Urey, meaning that this mobility fuels a phenomenon known as the network individualism and in which are linked through scheduling, monitoring, surveillance, and control. Identities become boundless and literal, no longer constrained by specific locales, patterns, or cultural traditions, resulting into new demands of the self and shifting life strategies. By fostering the idea that all space is potentially public, social platforms have become the stage where identities are constantly played, curated, and modified. As you can see, like I've mentioned earlier, that language learners are become more increasingly capable of differentiating themselves through ways of speaking, perceiving, thinking, or behaving, as well as participating in more divergent discourse communities. As these identities are now practically live and perform through real-time representation. That's how language in its identity in the new world order. And as in addition, the digital becomes an extension of the self as a tool that mediates contact, transforming what learners can do and mean, how they think and relate to others, and who they can be. By Jones and Hafner, 2012 and 2014. Meaning learners have the access to knowledge and narratives from all over the world at the same time. It also says here that the reach and impact of this text is shaped by how learners place themselves and are positioned by others in the context of classroom, communities, and nations within a global network as they are generated. All right, they are generated, shared, and consumed. Technology has dramatically revolutionized. Do you agree with me? You can comment down below. Isn't it that technology has dramatically revolutionized language by spawning an explosion of new vocabularies, genres, and styles, as well as the redefining both the meaning of practice of literacy. It means that the allocation of strength in learning and using language no longer rests on the simple divide of native speaker and language learner. And we need to thank the dynamic nature of these spaces and the increasing diversity of persons who occupy them. You know what, like I've mentioned earlier, that learners can be participate wider range of multilingual societies and assert themselves as legitimate speakers to varied degrees. One of the most difficult issues of language education in the New World Order is figuring out how language instructors, researchers, and policymakers, just remember those three, okay? The instructors, the researchers, also part of that, and the policymakers can map out these increasingly complicated places while developing new pedagogies, theories, and policies while reconciling classing ideologies. And as you can see on the presentation on source from UNESCO, COVID-19's global education, the impact of the pandemic, the number of learners impacted by the national school closure worldwide. Figures refer to the learners enrolled at primary and lower secondary and upper secondary levels of education, as well as the tertiary education levels uh, actually goes down. And the COVID-19 impacts on language learning. Almost 98% of teachers said they were better prepared for online teaching in 2021 than they were in 2020 yet. So the 2020 to 2021 academic year has been extremely difficult for both the schools and the students and their parents. Teachers also put in a lot of effort to adapt, especially for the Philippines that we are actually affected with that. And of course for other countries as well. In reaction with this to the COVID-19 outbreak and steps to contain the pandemic, language instructors, like all teachers, had to immediately reconsider goals and methods of delivery. So some use modular, some also use online platforms. And okay, as a result, it's not surprising that the pandemic is mentioned in some of the findings from the 2021 poll. It was by Vicky Go, Schools Advisor of British Council, way back July 8th of 2021. She mentioned that due to COVID-19, language instruction was discontinued in one out of every five elementary schools in January 2021, with the impact being seen most acutely in poor communities. During the first national lockdown, two out of five students in Key Stage 3 lower secondary did not, okay, did not engage in language learning, according to state secondary school teachers, resulting in a significant amount of time lost to language learning for many students. You can see how does it affect us, especially for a language teacher, and especially for the development of students or learners language learning. Speaking and listening are important element, isn't it? As we all know, for language learning, since they are interactive. Okay, disadvantaged students who are less likely to have access to technology in order to participate in online sessions have likely fallen further behind their more advantaged colleagues. That's how it affects our educators. So be mindful for us. Okay, it's actually an open door. So we need to think about this one. And moving right along, as you can see, fewer students participate in the foreign activities. It says here by Dr. Ian Cullen for his research or book language trends of 2021, the most disadvantaged pupils are most likely to have been negatively affected by the impact of COVID-19, experiencing greater disruption to their language learning and fewer international opportunities. Looking to the future, schools should consider giving more curriculum time to language as well as more opportunities to use language in real life, such as visits abroad. As you can see, like I've mentioned, that the international interaction chances for students and teachers have been declining. Take note, since 2018, according to the prior language trends surveys, COVID 19 has aided in the continuous and considerable reduction of foreign chances. These activities includes collaborating with a partner school abroad, participating in the foreign initiatives, and hosting a language assistant, among others. According to this year's poll, 64%, just to imagine, 64% of responding primary schools and 38% of responding state secondary schools had no international activities, a significant increase over prior. So it's very alarming to know that numbers, right? 64% and a 30% for the primary and secondary. And moving right along and moving forward, as you can see here, that the teachers, let's find out teachers of language in virtual and face-to-face classroom. Teachers have been also taken use of online learning possibilities to get language-specific continuing professional development, with 32% saying that they have done so. This is up to from the previous estimate of 28% in 2020. Many teachers expressed their eagerness to return for the face-to-face instruction in the classroom. Despite the challenges they faced over the last year, it's become encouraging to observe how they shifted to remote learning during national lockdowns. As schools continue to recover from the pandemic, it is critical that language instruction be prioritized and that international connections and possibilities be restored. And there you go. As you can see, also, let's find out. I'm actually almost done with the presentation. The taxonomy of language learning strategies. Many academics have classified language learning strategies. However, the majority of the attempts to categorize language learning strategies reflect more or less the same of the language learning strategies with no significant differences. It was actually a research that they can still reflect and guide and be guided on today's situation by Rubens of 1987, Oxford 1990, O'Malley's of 1985, and Stearns of 1992. The taxonomy of language strategies will be discussed in the following sections. There are three main subcategories. Okay, remember the main subcategories of the strategic language learning. We have metacognitive strategies. When we say metacognitive, executive function tactics include planning for learning, thinking about the learning process while it occurs, monitoring one's production or comprehension, and evaluating learning when an activity is accomplished. When we are talking about metacognitive, these techniques are used to monitor, control, or self direct language acquisition, planning, prioritizing, creating objectives, and self management are some of the activities involved because they focus on the process of participating in a conversation and getting meaning over or explaining what the speaker means. Communication techniques are less directly tied to language learning. In addition of metacognitive strategies, speakers employ communication techniques when they are confronted with a problem, such as when their communication ends outside of their communication or when a co-speaker misunderstands them. Learners use social tactics to engage in activities that allow them to be exposed to exercise their knowledge. That will be our first subcategory, the metacognitive. Second, we have the cognitive strategies. Cognitive strategies are more focused on a single learning task and required more direct manipulation of the learning material. The most significant cognitive methods include repetition, resourcing, translation, grouping, note taking, and deduction, recombination, imaging, auditory, representation, keyword, contextualization, elaboration, transfer, and inferencing. It actually cognitive more on focus and refers to the procedures or activities involved in language learning or problem solving that entail direct analysis, transformation, or synthesis of learning materials such as inductive inductive reasoning, practice, memorization, and monitoring. And after we've figured out what are under the metacognitive strategies and cognitive strategies that we can use for language learning, let's move to the socio-affective strategies. When we say socio-affective strategies can be defined as activities that involve social mediation and transaction with others. The major socio-affective methods are cooperation and clarifying questions. Just to, or in addition, social effective strategies are methods defined by most experts. Okay, remember that it was defined by most experts are those that help students regulate and control their emotion, motivates, and attitudes towards learning, as well as learn through contact and interaction with others. As for Oxford, non academic social effective tactics entail motivating students to learn by generating a level of empathy between the instructor and the student. They actually take into account like emotions and attitudes from the word itself, social affective. And as you can see as well, what are the most effective learning strategies? So we have the spacing, retrieval practice, elaboration, interleaving, specific examples, and dual coding. And what is the effective strategy on the other hand? When we say effective strategy, our learning strategy is more dealing with unpleasant and positive emotions. All through there are no apparent link between effective techniques and learning. A pleasant, effective environment aids learning in general. So that's how effective strategy or the three sub or main category of language learning that we can actually use. Okay. And let's check language learning. Language learning during the pandemic. It was actually from the Badger Herald by Taylor Meredith of 2021. uh, Taylor Meredith mentioned that because of the extra time provided by the quarantine, many people, just like us, have begun to study a new language for these reasons. Over the years, we have the applications that we can use, like Duolingo, Babel, Memories, have seen a significant increase in a new user. Just a disclaimer as well. These are just some of the example. If you know some of the application that can be used, you can comment down below. So first we have the Duolingo. Duolingo, all right. Duolingo is an American language learning website and mobile app. Users practice vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation using spaced repetition. Exercise can include written translation, reading, and speaking comprehension in short stories. And like I've mentioned earlier, these are just some of the application, okay? Please, if you know some of the application that we can use, and just to hurry up, okay, we actually also have the Babel or Babel. Is a new way to learn a foreign language. The comprehensive learning system combines effective education that is very interactive to online courses will improve your grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation skills. And the third one is the Memrise or Memorize, which is the what you call a language from British platform that use spaced repetition to increase the rate of learning. It is actually based in London. So especially we also have here in the Philippines, which is the Drops language learning app, is an application that combines minimalist image and word games into a fun, interactive language learning adventure. There is a plenty of vocabulary that is broken down into categories such as essential, food, even prison. The free version provides 5 minutes daily of board games and puzzle. Again, comment down below for some of the application that you can share and can be used by the learners during online and our current um, educational platform. And like I've mentioned a while ago, if you are conversing with someone from another country in the United States, chances are they speak English. However, there is something to be said for speaking with someone with their own language. By learning a second language, you can communicate with a wider spectrum of people. It is because most people speak English. It's frequently misperception that knowing another language is no longer useful in the professional world, even within the United States. Bilingualism can be a great benefit, as the census reports that over 60 million people in the United States speak a language other than English at home. And aside from the benefits of speaking another language, learning a new language can have a significant cognitive benefits. Bilingualism as a benefits is supposed to aid the prevention of cognitive decline, the improvement of memory and improvement of problem solving skills, the refinement of listening skills, and so on. Just remember this quotation that learning another language is extremely helpful and vital since it allows you to have a new perspective on the world, says the as you can see on the quotation, what it doesn't mean. Even though we don't know when we'll be able to travel again without any reservation or restriction, there are numerous advantages to learning a new language. If anything, it can serve as a reminder that there's a world outside our homes, and it can be over us hope that we will be able to explore it again soon. If you are agree with me, you can comment down below. And there you go. All right. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learn a lot from me as well. Okay. If you have any question concerning about this topic for the language learning, you can comment down below. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sir Christian Yavut, for that very insightful contributions to this webinar. We are absolutely grateful on how you tailored your message for the audience and captivated them from the beginning of your presentation to the end. We read some of the comments that this is an interesting session, and indeed it will really help us to understand more about communication and language. And sir, a while ago you're asking if you agree that learning different language can help you see the different perspective in the world. I agree with you, sir, that really we can connect to the world and we can understand each other if we also learn some of their languages. And with that, sir, gracias in Spanish, thank you, merci in French, shukran in Arabic, and maraming salamat in Philippines. Thank you, sir. We will see each other again for the question and answer session.
Okay. Thank you.
And dear aspirants of knowledge, we will now proceed to our next speaker. She is a teacher one in Kamuning Elementary School, also in San Fernando, Pampanga. Let us all welcome from the Philippines, Ma'am Caris Garcia.
Good evening to all.
Good evening, Ma'am Caris.
Okay. I'm Caris Garcia, teacher one, and I'm currently teaching at Kamuning Elementary School as a kinder teacher here in the Philippines. Okay. So my topic for this evening is all about is my presentation. Uh,
Not yet, Ma'am. Are you already presenting?
I am sorry. Okay.
While we're waiting for Ma'am Caris Garcia, you can prepare your questions to our first speaker, to Sir Christian, about his topic. We can see the presentation now, Ma'am. So let us have Ma'am Caris Garcia
Okay.
for her presentation.
Okay. So my topic for this evening is about Panicgogy, or teaching and learning during the new normal. Okay, during 2020, COVID-19 affect the education sector. So as released by UNESCO in April 21, COVID-19 pandemic has interrupted classrooms or classroom learning for at least 9 out of 10 students worldwide. As of April, 191 countries have closed all the schools affecting over 1.5 billion students from pre-primary to tertiary education. Almost half of the learners worldwide face barriers to online during the school closures. Okay, 50% of these learners do not have a household computers. So that is equivalent to 826 million students, and 43% of the learners, around 706 million, they do not have the internet, and 56 million of the learners, they don't have any electronic devices that are covered by mobile networks. Okay, so that's a problem for the learners, especially in our country, the Philippines. Okay, so what happened? Now, if we're going to summarize how teaching was done in 2020, in my own personal experience, it's like this one. As you can see, there it's a picture of a horse. If you are going to look at the back of the horse, it is clear that we are already imparted knowledge to the students. Then as they pass by, COVID-19 is hitting many countries. Until then, we are no longer allowed to go to school because of the virus. And the teaching in 2020 up to the present is like the front part of the horse, which is its head and his leg or its legs. Okay, and this is the way other people see and call these things. It's the pandemic plus the pedagogy, which is in short Panicgogy. Panicgogy is a combination of panic and pedagogy, or means Panicgogy means understanding students' practicalities of physical readiness on and or limitation. During the transition, what will happen most of the schools, they shifted from a classroom environment to a digital environment. And they are hoping everything will be just okay or will be just fine. But it is not okay because not everyone are on the same situation. So what does it mean? Not all learners has the devices needed. Like in our school, when we are conducting our online classes, uh, not all learners can join the online class. Why? Because some of them doesn't have any internet connections. Others are just using the mobile data, and the mobile data is consumable also. And worse is they don't have any means of communication, like cell phones or tablets and laptop. Most of them are using cell phones with keypads, and that is the reality in this world. So now, how do we do transition in new normal? They said that there are four aspects that you need to take into considerations to ease the transition to the new normal. So the first transition that we need to take into consideration is first is shift of learning space. So what happened from a public space? There is a shift going to personal space. So learning now happens in the personal space. The transition of spaces has been happening in web or in the internet. And now learning can be done through personal devices without having to go through to the school. So there are some additional shifts here. So since you're not doing learning in public spaces, we could say your social interaction are affected. Okay. So along with the chance to shift in our school interaction from physical to virtual, we can still interact with the learning communities. We can still exchange conversations with classmates, teachers, okay? So we could say what really happened during shift learning space if we just shifted to our communication channels. Now, how we are going to do the that especially in the Philippines if the students are not really online. So maybe the shift is from the classroom to modules or whatever materials you see. So that is the first aspect that we need to consider. Okay. Next, now the next aspect that we need to consider is the shift delivery of the teaching modes. Okay, from one size fits all to individualized and differentiated learning. In typical class, all students will be taught at the same. They listen to the same lecture, they do the same activities in class, and complete the same homework or assignment. And at the end of the period, they all take the same exam and will be evaluated based on the same rubric. However, that is not possible in the new normal. So individualized, uh, differentiated means teaching each students uniquely to meet unique needs and phases. So what does it mean for us teachers? It means additional works, isn't it? So what happened here is that not all students will absorb the lessons at the same pace or pace. For some students, you might need more time compared to the other students who is good in absorbing the lesson. So we are as educators, we should design lessons according to individual needs of the students and give them flexibility to master the materials accordingly. Okay, so that's the second aspect. Now, the next aspect is the shift of responsibility in teaching learning processes. So what happened here? We need the active participation of the household. So maybe before this is how the household look like. Okay, they are having their gadgets. Okay, browsing Facebook or IGs. Okay, we said devices is the detriment to the learning process, but right now most of the family will be doing remote learning, like this one on the screen, wherein the household members are the most active participants in the learning process. So since the learning process now takes in personal space, most likely in students' home, family members become active agents in the teaching and learning process. Or the entire household can act as learning facilitators, providing guidance and assistance to make the learning process pleasant for the student. Now, the only problem that we could see here, based on the news that we have in the Philippines, is that some parents are worried that they might don't know, anything about the lessons of their children. So, how are we going to take into consideration this kind of problem? Okay. Okay. Then, last but not the least, is the shift in learning evaluations. Usually, we evaluate students based on their exams. But how can we do that? In the Philippines, we give them modules, and at the end of the quarter, we give them uh, summative tests. Okay, so these are the four aspects that we need to take into consideration to ease the transition to the new normal. Okay, so these are the adaptation of various learning delivery. Uh, so in the Philippines, it could be face to face, homeschool, distance learning, and blended learning. For the face to face, these are where the limited numbers of learners go to school. Okay, for homeschool or study, provide learners with equal access to quality basic education to be facilitated by qualified parents, guardians, or tutors. For distance learning, this is delivered through different modes online platforms or platforms, educational programs, or on TV and radio, and printed modules. For the blended learning, this allows the combination of face-to-face, online, and modular learning delivery. Okay, so we need to accept the mode of teaching. We have to tell the students this is the only way we can go forward. Okay, so this is the versus new normal. Okay, the old normal, as you can see on the screen, uh, there are so many students inside the classroom. But now in the new normal, uh, only one student or limited students or classes only that we have inside the school or the classroom. So this is the old versus new normal. What will be the difference between the two? Based on the source that I've watched, these are the three things on how they look at the transition of the old and new normal. The first one is assumptions. Second one is the approaches, and the last is the assessment. Okay, for the old normal, okay, the purpose of education and pedagogy, it produces competitive human resources, economic development, and lifelong learners. And for the new normal, nurture learning human beings with empathy, resilience, self mastery, autonomy, and sense of purpose. Then for the teacher's role, facilitator of competency for the old normal here, okay? Facilitator of competency acquisition and collectors of assessment and outcomes. And for the new normal, proactive and emphatic supporters of flexible and creative learning space and opportunity. Okay? Now, for the nurture of learners in the old normal, it is the potential resources to be trained with the specific competencies. And for the new normal, context-based, active, collaborative, makes sense, learns and act based on urgent and relevant condition, capable, immediate, and feedbacks. Okay? So what is the value in school? For the old normal, reaching the acceptable standards of preferred forms of the assessment, acquiring enough competencies and culture capital. And for the new normal, self-regulation and autonomy, creativity, innovation, collaboration, adaptation, solving collectives and contextual problems. Okay. For the approaches of the old and new normal approaches. Okay. For the nature of teaching in the old normal, it is the delivery of set and sequence discipline-based material with outcomes as evidence of learning. For the new normal, engage in active and collaborative teaching of relevant content and skills that leads to meaningful actions and changes in personal and social life. And for the nurture of learning, for the old normal, it produces outcomes that conforms to set standards of competence for each separate subject. And for the new normal, self-selected paced, assess social, authentic, and experience that address diverse concern, open and flexible. Then for the content and space for teaching and learning, for the old normal, it's the classroom and school, occasionally through online platforms. And for the new normal, any place, anytime where anytime where peers and resource, guidance, and feedbacks are available. Okay. So for the tools and resources of teaching and learning, printed visuals and text materials, online sources, typical materials, online platforms on special cases. For the new normal, context source, ICT based, and any available community experience, group or resource immediate. Okay. In these approaches that we have here in here that we have to consider about this one is so most of the class in the Philippines will be asynchronous if you're going to do modular teaching, and asynchronous we could say applies more on adult learning. So our students will not be motivated if you apply adult learning concepts here. So as much as possible, you have to find ways to contact them from time to time and ask them how are they doing. So they will find to be motivated, and as much as possible, you have to build communities among the students and another students so they will be more motivated. Okay? But the more important thing that you have to take into consideration is the Maslow versus Bloom. As they said, Maslow before Bloom, it has to be context before content. So they have a saying in the education that students must have to Maslow before they can bloom. So what does it mean? If my students aren't well fed, don't feel safe, and are badly in need of hugs, they don't care where my questions land on blooms. We must meet the basic needs first so that the way that we are going to look at it is we have to stress is we have a stressful environment right now. So before they can learn, before they can learn, we have to secure first that their learning environment is safe. So Maslow before Bloom. Okay. Next, for the old or versus new normal assessment. So for the assessment tool and resource in the old normal, teacher made and standardized tests, rubrics written and assembled outputs. Okay, for the new normal, any means that could capture learner creativity, innovativeness, resourcefulness, and resourcefulness of school lessons. For the assessment method, paper and pen assessment, performance-based tasks, and for the new normal, old normal method, plus of more authentic and context-relevant experience and way of knowing. Okay, for the assessment parameter and standards of quality, okay, for the old normal, standardization, passing scores, ranks, adherence to academic content and traditions, and for the new normal, relevant, engaging, collaborative, context-sensitive, flexible, evolving from the learners or learner community. Okay? For the assessment goal and values, for the old normal, assessment of learning, accuracy, consistency, industry or market, notions of competence and excellence. And for the new normal, assessment as for learning, self-regulated learning, inform how learning spaces and experiences could be structured for better learning. Okay? Now that's the last part that we have here that we're going to compare is the term of assessment. Okay, now these are the things that I have learned during Panicgogy time or pandemic pedagogy or pandemic time. So don't think of it as let's move everything online, but think of it as let's consider the situation and make adjustments. Okay, this one. Okay, then the next one is, and don't think of it as if things will be easier because everyone is at home, but think of it as things will be harder because everyone is home. Okay, work from home. From the word itself, you don't know when it's work and when it's home. Okay, pandemic pedagogy or the pandemic, the other things that I've learned here. Okay, and things that we need to remember now. Don't think of a strip strip extensively to cover everything, but look for important ones. Prepare them in brief sessions to focus on main points. Choose the important things that the students need, and that is the thing that we need to cover. Okay, so as we can also question about the use of technology, but we all know that the digital divide is a social divide. So those who computers and internet access are the rich people, okay, who have the internet access, and computers are the rich people. And if ever there's a computer or somebody donates a computer, there are different perspectives between the learners and the teachers with respect to the use of technology. Okay, so for the learners, they might get excited when they have this computer or internet access. For the teacher, usually they use this as a tool so that they can engage their students. Am I correct, ma'am? Ma'am and sir? Okay. And then you have to make it also for the students. The use of technology might be an adventure, okay, to them. But for the teachers, it might it might be a work procedures on how they will going to prepare their lessons and present them in class. Another, for student, it is experience. And for teacher, it is serves as a tool to gather evidence. Okay? But if the technology is not really available, we don't make it a reason not to teach. We're not making the technology a reason not to teach. Okay? As Bill Gates says, technology is just a tool in terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them. The teacher is the most important. Okay? And another tip is to connect with the students. Establish connections with or our students as early as possible. As PJ says, great teachers focus not on compliance, but on connections and relationships. Okay? For the last part of my presentation, these are some tips that will be helpful for us teachers as we go on to the new normal. Okay, first, you connect. You connect with the students. Second, ask for help. In Kamuning Elementary Schools, Kamuning Elementary teachers are unite. Okay, the teachers are unite. Okay, then it is okay to ask for help to our co-teachers, colleagues, and our principals. Okay, so that uh, so that they can help us through in our uh, problems also. Okay, we can open up our problems in our teachers or to our co-teachers. Then we are all in this together. Okay, we have this bayanihan word or saying here that explain to them why we have this present setup. Okay, for Henry Ford, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, working together is a success, and Henry is a success, and a problem shared is a problem solved. Okay, as we all know, a problem shared is a problem solved, isn't it? Okay, and tough and difficult times. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Okay. Then next, Practice of empathy. You practice empathy. Okay. As we all know, empathy means putting your feet into the shoes of others. Okay. So we need to feel our students. Okay. In this time of pandemic, we need to feel our students. We need to know what are the things that they are not, that they can't make or they can do. Okay. Then empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Okay. And last, you practice equity. Okay. Equity means giving the same treatment, but our equality means giving the same treatment, but equity is giving more treatment to those people or students who are in need the quality of being fair, or we could say helpful. So if you're going to look at the picture here, some students need more help. Some students might not be as lucky as the other student. Okay? So practice equity. Okay? Remember, not every student has the same opportunity. So this will be the last slides of my presentation, and that would be all. I hope you learn, in my presentation, in my topic today, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Caris Garcia from Kamuning Elementary School. We are very happy, ma'am, with all the presentations as it give us the realization if we are really utilizing all the tools that we need in order to cope up with the new normal. Though it's hard from the start, but we are really inspired that tough time doesn't last. Yes, of course, that's why we have to help each other so all the problems can be solved. Because if we are carrying the problems alone, and we're not asking for help, of course, it will be heavier as it gets. But of course, if we share it with others and we tend to listen and learn from each other, everything will run smoothly. So we are very happy, Ma'am Caris, sending a mighty thank you your way for the amazing lecture you gave.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
We will see each other again, Ma'am, for the question and answer session.
Thank you so much. Okay po.
And now let us now proceed to the quiz competition. Everyone is encouraged to join. See you for the quiz competition. Oh, hello again, ma'am. So there's no quiz competition. This is the quiz competition, the question competition. This is the panel brought to you by IGP. Joke lang. All right, so every attendees, you are very free to ask questions to our two speakers. Don't forget to address speaker name. So there will be no problem in answering. I read from the comment. Thank you so much, Ma'am Caris. Thank you, Sir Christian. Thank you for the helpful topic. A very good presentation to both. And thank you for sharing. That's what I read from the comment section. Dear participants, you don't be shy. You can ask questions to our speakers. So if you don't have any questions, Joe, we are waiting. We are still waiting for your questions. Just a friendly reminder to everyone, don't forget to enroll in this program so you can claim your certificate. We have our tech team. If you have any questions, they will be the one to reply and help you in the comment section. Once again, if you have any question, please address speaker name. And after the Q&A, we will share the certification process. Oh, you're not asking question. How are you, Ma'am Caris? How are you, Sir Christian? That's the first question. Are you still okay, Ma'am Caris?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good. And I'm no longer
Yes.
nervous.
Still have the energy. How about you, Sir Christian?
Yes, I'm feeling great. That everything was done smoothly.
Yes, and it's very successful. I'm listening to both of you and I'm trying to assess myself if I'm really using the different strategies. And Sir Christian, I'm also curious with the Duolingo, the Babel, because I'm also teaching language to elementary. Later, I will check it how I'm going to apply it in the class. I think it's very interesting, especially for children, since it's more on vocabulary.
Yes, they can actually download it. They are available to iOS and Android devices. That is free.
Wow, that's nice. Okay, sir. Later, I will also explore because grade 3 are very kinesthetic and they really want to have many games. So, Sir Ma'am Caris, you're teaching kindergarten.
Yes, ma'am.
Kinder. Oh, sweet. Oh,
Kindergarten.
you have a lot of patience. We adore you, ma'am. How
Yes.
about you, sir? You're
I
teaching
I'm teaching grade 7 and 8, grade
oh,
7 and 9 rather, for
grade
basic
7.
education department.
Higher level.
Yes.
I'm just in the middle, sir. Grade 3 only. All right, so we have the first question. Maybe this is for both of you. Sir Christian first. During this pandemic, what are the innovations that teachers should practice in addressing the problems, especially in improving the reading skills of the grades 1, 2, 3 pupils? So maybe that's for Ma'am Kari, sorry, because you're teaching in kindergarten. But of course, Sir Christian can add if you want to answer the question. So for Ma'am Caris, what are the innovations that teachers should practice in improving the reading skills of lower grades, grades 1 to 3?
Maybe the innovations that teachers should practice in addressing the problems, especially in the improving the reading skills, is to for me, ma'am, because I am a kinder teacher, I am always doing the singing. We are doing the singing because uh, for me the children will learn from singing the letters. Okay, they can really or easily memorize the letters through singing for me because
I agree,
that's
ma'am.
okay.
Because
Okay,
they
for me
more
that's
on, yes, ma'am. Please proceed.
yes, ma'am. Because that's the nature of the kinder. They learn through singing, through playing, and and those are the things that they need to do to learn from reading skills for me.
Thank you, ma'am. And I also agree with you because they tend to unintentionally memorize some of the lyrics of the song. So they will improve their memory skills, their appreciation to the music. So thank you, ma'am. Sir Christian, would you like to add more to this question?
Sure. Let me just repeat the question. During this pandemic, what is or are innovation that our teachers should practice in addressing the problems, especially in improving the reading skills of grade 1 to 3 pupils? Even I'm actually not teaching grade 1, 2, and 3. I actually witnessed and actually I grow into an environment of education. I do believe that language comes first. It's not the language grows out of consciousness. If you haven't got language, you can be conscious. And one of the factors that I can see through online platform is grade 1 and 2 viewers are actually more engaged with image or pictures. The Department of Education actually project or implement the Phil Erie. Aside from Phil Erie, we can actually innovate through a variety of work can be using rubrics or performance criteria. We can do a nonverbal assessment can be conducted, a portfolio as well. Play free, sharing expository text, context such as talking, playing free, and aside from that, allow the student to engage. When we are in online, there's a lot of application or online platform that you can use with that. So,
Thank you, sir. That is very helpful. And now let's have the next question from Maria Loretta de Salisa. What reading comprehension innovation can be best employed in online distance learning? Let us have Sir Christian first.
okay, thank you very much. Let me just repeat it again from Maria Loretta
Okay.
Desa
Okay, sir.
Lisa. What reading comprehension innovation can be best employed in an online distance learning? What like I've mentioned earlier, that aside from Duolingo, and for those applications that it was mentioned, there's actually a kind of innovation as well, because language is a power, language is an instrument that dominate liberation. If Maria Loretta asking for specific innovation, I think aside from Phil Erie, it will be great if we can able to getting in touch to give instructional materials. Since we are currently having a pandemic right now, I think one of the reading comprehension that we can also use is to innovate to use the platform, online platform that can be best employed in a distance learning.
Thank you so much, sir. How about Ma'am Caris?
Just like what Sir Christian said, it would be the best innovation that can be employed in online distance learning is to have an online, maybe online reading materials. You can we can send the students an online materials so that they can uh, ask their mom or ask their mom for help to uh, to help them on how to read because no one is there to teach them aside from their teachers. That's
Yes, that's correct,
that's it.
ma'am. Thank you for your answers, Sir Christian and Ma'am Caris. We're still waiting for other questions. And that's the last question. So, once again, we are very grateful. The Institute of Global Professionals would like to say thank you for the effort and the time you gave to us, Ma'am Caris Garcia and Sir Christian Yavut. We are extremely grateful for your presence. Thank you for the effort that you gave for being with us in this webinar. We hope to see you again in our next webinar. Stay safe, and we are very happy that we learned a lot from you. Would you like to one last word, or what would you like to say to our attendees, Sir Christian?
Again, thank you very much. Like I've mentioned earlier, thank you for the opportunity so I can share my expertise and knowledge despite of our current situation right now. And again, for IGP as well. And just always remember that what I've discussed earlier, language is power. life and the instrument of culture and the instrument of domination and liberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, IGB, for these opportunities. Okay. Thank you for the all the people who watch our presentations. I hope you learn from our presentations. Thank you.
We really learned a lot, ma'am and sir, and it will really be an achievement to every teachers, to every attendees, as it gives positive attitudes towards language and more understanding about communications. Maraming salamat, Ma'am Caris Garcia and Sir Christian Yavo. Have
Thank
a
you so much.
safe online travel. Have a safe online travel. Stay safe to both of you. Dear aspirants of knowledge, thank you for joining us today. Once again, please leave a review, check in, and recommend on our page, and spread the word to your friends and community. Remember to acquire your e certificate from our website, which is listed below. Sir Els Abad, great work, ma'am and sir. Rossi Yosores, thank you, ma'am and sir, for sharing your knowledge. IGP already posted the certification link in the comments section. Please click the link so you can obtain your e-certificate. Sir AK Adhikari, thank you to Joseph Navales Placer, Camarisa Gumabong. Thank you for being an enthusiast attendees. And for today's certification process, the program name is Panicgogy and Strategic Language Learning with the code IGP 2930. Please don't forget the code because without the code, no one is eligible for certificates. And of course, with the code, you can claim your certificates anytime. If there are some problems in obtaining your certificate, please be patient in waiting. But don't worry because you can still claim your certificate. Again, don't forget the code IGP 2930. Thank you to Ma'am Lisel Gabaldon. Ma'am Lisel Gabaldon, Ma'am Jane Malyari, Ma'am Marhon Miranda. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you all again at the upcoming IGP webinars. It's people like you who make presentations so memorable. Thank you for your active listening throughout this activity. Congratulations to the team and thank you for your patience. Once again, I am Lursha El Pelaez from New Era University, Quezon City, Philippines. Would like to say thank you for joining us. Please stay safe, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.